Argentine Republic and the United States of America have maintained bilateral relations since the United States formally recognized the United Provinces of the Rio de la Plata, the predecessor to Argentina, on January 27, 1823. Since 1998, Argentina has been the only designated major non-NATO ally in Latin America, partly owing to Argentina's assistance to the United States in the Gulf War. Relations have been strained at times over the past few years, but they have improved somewhat since President Mauricio Macri came to power recently. History: after Argentina became independent from Spanish rule, the United States formally recognized the United Provinces of the Rio de la Plata, the legal predecessor to Argentina, on January 27, 1823. The bilateral relations have seesawed over the last century and a half between normal trade relations and serious tension over ideology and finance. There has never been a threat of war. 1870 to 1920, Argentina was integrated into the British international economy in the late 19th century. There was minimal trade with the United States. When the United States began promoting the Pan-American Union, some Argentines were suspicious that it was indeed a device to lure the country into the U.S. economic orbit, but most businessmen responded favorably and bilateral trade grew briskly. Relations soured when Argentina refused to join the Allies in the First World War. Argentina had a large German element and Germany had made large-scale investments. However, as a prosperous neutral it greatly expanded trade with the United States during the war and exported meat and wool to the Allies through Britain. 1940's main article, Argentina during World War II. Argentina hosted a fairly organized pro-Nazi element before the Second World War that was controlled by German ambassadors. Brazil, Chile, and Mexico had smaller movements as well. U.S. foreign policy worked to unite all of Latin America in a coalition against Germany. Argentina proved recalcitrant, and the United States worked to undermine the Argentine government. Washington's policy backfired when the military seized power in a coup in 1943. Relations grew worse, prompting the powerful farm lobby in Washington to promote economic and diplomatic isolation of Argentina and to try unsuccessfully to keep it out of the United Nations in 1945. Historians now agree that the supposed affinity between Argentina and Germany was greatly exaggerated. The Argentine government remained neutral until the closing weeks of the war, albeit quietly tolerated entry of Nazi leaders and war criminals fleeing Europe as the conflict ended. Historians have shown there was little gold and probably not many Nazis, but the myths lived on and helped sour relations with the United States. 1968 s. By 1976, human rights groups in USA were denouncing the dirty war waged against leftist dissidents by the repressive military regime in Argentina. They demanded congressional control over foreign aid funding to regimes violating human rights. The U.S. State Department saw Argentina as a bulwark of anti-communism in South America. By the mid-1970s, at a time when détente with the USSR softened the anti-communism issue and President Jimmy Carter highlighted issues of human rights, United States activists escalated their attacks and in 1978 secured a congressional cutoff of all U.S. arms transfers to Argentina. In 1982, Argentina seized the British colony of Falkland Islands in an attempt to quell domestic and economic unrest. The move was condemned by the U.S., who formally supported the British government in its quest to regain control over the islands. This lack of Pan-Americanism in the mind of Argentines turned public opinion against the U.S. and still is the base of resentment in the minds of older Argentinians today.